Last night's Late Show with Stephen Colbert exploded into chaos when Josh Brolin demanded, "Say that again," after Colbert made a comment so offensive that CBS executives are now scrambling to contain the damage. The Avengers star didn't just challenge him. He systematically dismantled Colbert's entire persona on live television. But what Colbert said about Brolin's father would trigger the most brutal takedown in late-night history. The taping started with deceptive normalcy at the Ed Sullivan Theater. Josh Brolin arrived to promote his new memoir about addiction and recovery. But Colbert's team had prepared something different. A producer overheard Colbert telling his writers, "Let's get into the family stuff, make him squirm." Therefore, when the cameras rolled, Brolin could sense something predatory in Colbert's demeanor. Colbert opened with his usual political monologue, the audience laughing obediently. Brolin waited backstage, reviewing notes about his book's charity component. "Ladies and gentlemen, Josh Brolin," Colbert announced. The actor walked out confidently, his imposing presence filling the stage as he shook Colbert's hand. "Josh, welcome back," Colbert said, smiling. "So this book about your struggles with addiction. Some might say it's convenient timing, given the recent Hollywood scandals." Brolin's eyes narrowed. "Convenient? I've been sober for years, Stephen. This is about helping others," he said. "Right? Helping others. Or helping your image?" Colbert pressed immediately. "What's that supposed to mean?" Brolin asked, his voice dropping. "I mean, your father James Brolin, married to Barbra Streisand. You grew up in Hollywood royalty. Hard to believe you really struggled," Colbert said dismissively. Therefore, he'd gone straight for the personal attack. But Brolin stayed controlled. "You clearly didn't read the book. My parents divorced when I was 16. I barely saw my father for years," he said. "But you're using his name now," Colbert accused. "It's my name too," Brolin said firmly. "I earned my career despite it, not because of it." But then Colbert crossed the line. "Speaking of your father, didn't he call you a disappointment? Said you'd never amount to anything?" he asked with a smirk. The studio went dead silent. Brolin stood up slowly. "Say that again," he demanded, his voice dangerous. "I'm just repeating what I heard," Colbert said, but his confidence wavered. "Say that again," Brolin repeated, stepping closer to the desk. "Say what you just said about my father." "Josh, sit down," Colbert said nervously. "No, you brought up my father. You made it personal. Now say it again to my face," Brolin demanded. Therefore, the confrontation had turned physical in its intensity. The audience was frozen. Security moved closer. But Brolin wasn't backing down. "You heard something? From who?" "Your researchers who dig through people's pain for content," Brolin asked. "It's public knowledge," Colbert claimed weakly. "It's a lie," Brolin said flatly. "My father never said that. We had issues, but he never called me a disappointment. You just made that up for drama." Robin Roberts, who happened to be in the audience as a guest, later confirmed she'd never seen Colbert look so scared. But he tried to recover. "Well, your relationship was complicated," Colbert deflected. "Every relationship is complicated," Brolin shot back. "But you don't get to invent quotes to hurt people." He turned to the audience. "This is what passes for comedy now? Making up lies about people's families?" he asked them. "I misspoke," Colbert said desperately. "No, you calculated," Brolin corrected. "You thought I'd be too polite to call you out. Wrong calculation." But then Brolin revealed something devastating. "You know what's ironic? Your father died when you were 10. You've talked about that pain. How would you feel if I made jokes about it?" he asked. "That's different," Colbert said, his face reddening. "Why? Because your pain matters, but mine doesn't," Brolin asked. "Because you're the host, so you're protected?" Therefore, he'd exposed the hypocrisy completely. But Brolin had more to say. "You hide behind this desk, behind your writers, behind your audience, and you take shots at people who can't fight back." "Well, I can fight back," he said. "This is just an interview," Colbert protested. "No, this is an ambush," Brolin corrected. "And a failed one." He pulled out his phone. "Want to hear what my father actually said about me?" "I have a voicemail from yesterday," he said. "That's not necessary," Colbert said quickly. "Oh, now it's not necessary? After you lied about him on national television?" Brolin asked. He played the voicemail on speaker. James Brolin's voice filled the studio. "Hey son, just wanted to say how proud I am of your book. Your courage in sharing your story will help so many people. Love you." The contrast with Colbert's lie was devastating. The audience began murmuring angrily. Several people booed Colbert. But Brolin raised his hand for silence. That's my actual father, not your fictional version, he said. I apologize, Colbert said weakly. Say that again, Brolin demanded. I apologize, Colbert repeated louder. For what? Brolin pressed. For misrepresenting your relationship, Colbert stammered. For lying, Brolin corrected. Say you lied. The power dynamic had completely reversed. Colbert, usually in control, was being commanded by his guest. I was wrong, he said. You lied, Brolin insisted. Say it. I lied, Colbert finally admitted, his voice barely audible. Therefore, the humiliation was complete. But Brolin wasn't finished. You know what the difference is between us, Stephen? I wrote a book admitting my failures. You can't even admit one lie without being forced, he said. This has gotten out of hand, Colbert said desperately. No, it's finally in the right hands, Brolin replied. Mine, not yours. He looked at the camera. I came here to talk about recovery, about helping people with addiction. Instead, I got to expose what's really addictive, the need to tear others down for entertainment, he said. You're overreacting, Colbert tried. Say that again, Brolin challenged. Tell me I'm overreacting to you lying about my father. Colbert couldn't respond. But Brolin had one more revelation. You know what your staff told me backstage? That you've been drinking before shows. That you're struggling. Maybe you should deal with your own issues instead of inventing mine, he said. The accusation was atomic. Colbert went white. That's not true, he said, but his voice shook. Isn't it? Your hands are trembling right now. Your eyes are bloodshot. You smell like mouthwash and desperation, Brolin observed. The camera caught Colbert's shaking hands. The evidence was undeniable. But Brolin showed unexpected mercy. I'm not here to destroy you, Stephen. But if you need help, get it. Don't project your pain onto your guests, he said. I'm done with this show, Brolin declared, standing to leave. Please don't go, Colbert pleaded. Give me one reason to stay, Brolin said. Colbert couldn't. His mouth opened and closed soundlessly. The man who lived by words had none. That's what I thought, Brolin said. He walked off to thunderous applause. The audience gave him a standing ovation while Colbert sat alone, devastated. We'll be right back, Colbert mumbled. But his show was over in more ways than one. Backstage, Brolin's team was shocked. Josh, that was... His publicist started. Necessary, Brolin said simply. Someone needs to stand up to these bullies. Within minutes, #SayThatAgain became the top trending topic worldwide. The clip of Brolin forcing Colbert to admit he lied went mega viral. But the real damage came from the drinking revelation. CBS launched an immediate investigation. Staff members confirmed Colbert had been struggling, coming to work impaired. The network mandated rehabilitation or termination. Colbert chose rehab, going off-air indefinitely. His statement read, "Recent events have made me realize I need help. I apologize to Josh Brolin and all those I've hurt." Meanwhile, Brolin's book shot to #1. His honest discussion of addiction resonated even more after people saw him handle confrontation with controlled strength. The incident became known as the "Say That Again" moment. Media colleges teach it as an example of how to flip an ambush interview, how to demand accountability from those demanding it from others. But the deeper impact was on late-night culture. Hosts became more careful about personal attacks. The era of cruel comedy disguised as journalism began ending. Colbert eventually returned, but he was different. Humbler. More careful. The man who'd built a career on mockery had been mocked into submission by 3 simple words. Say That Again became a cultural phenomenon. People used it to challenge lies, to demand truth, to refuse to accept casual cruelty. Brolin had given victims of verbal abuse a simple but powerful tool. Years later, Colbert would admit that night saved his life. Josh Brolin didn't destroy me. He forced me to confront myself. I'm grateful, he said. But that night, in that moment, all anyone saw was Stephen Colbert finally facing consequences. The host who'd ambushed countless guests finally ambushed himself with his own cruelty. The empty chair Brolin left became symbolic, not of absence, but of presence. The presence of someone strong enough to say enough, strong enough to demand truth, strong enough to make a liar say it again until he finally told the truth.